If after days like this ends up with your Jeep Gladiator interior smelling like a pair of wet socks, well, more than likely you have a leak. And no, I'm not talking about that little drip of water that comes down when you open the door. That's just a Jeep thing. I'm talking about a substantial leak. Well, if your floorboards are not full of water on the driver or the passenger side, that rules out the windshield and wiper cowl leak. If your seats are dry, more than likely your freedom panels are fine. But if you're starting to notice a little bit of inundation, dampness on the floor, passenger rear and driver rear, or water coming down the back wall, more than likely you have the common rear window leak. There's quite a few remedies out there for it. Some of them are invasive. Actually replacing it is really expensive, especially if you're not under warranty, and it usually ends up with the original glass breaking anyway. Well, if you want to know what we chose to seal the deal, stay tuned. Hey, welcome back to the Gator Overland channel. I'm John, and today we're going to be doing Jeep Gladiator rear window leak mitigation and hopefully rear window leak elimination. The reason why I say it this way, this particular DIY remedy may not actually work for everyone. The tolerance in the gap between the glass and the hard top could be either too wide or too narrow for this particular remedy to work. And after checking through a few of the forums and Facebook groups, it sounds like it's pretty much 100% effective. And as inexpensive as this remedy is, you might as well do it, because if it does work, it could potentially save you a lot of money. So what is this particular remedy? Well, it's not a paint damaging tape, caulk, or sealant that's going to go on there and be hard to remove in the future. It's a non-invasive, 100% reversible, 7mm diameter silicone vacuum tubing that more or less we're going to shove right there into that gap. A little bit more involved with it, but that's the gist of it. Now, as far as the rear window leak goes, it sounds like it's more of an issue of when it's going to happen, not if it's going to happen. So much so that they have issued what's called a TSB, or a Tech Safety Bulletin, recognizing that due to materials or installation, it is a manufacturer defect and it could be eligible for repair under warranty. But before you run off to get that repair work done for just this little bitty leak, please know that they typically sub this out to an auto glass specialist like Safelite, and the process of actually removing the glass is invasive enough to where it probably will damage your hardtop or the paint, and in more often than not cases, it actually breaks the glass, and that could put you in a situation outside of the warranty work you actually brought it in for. If you're in the situation like me, I have 80,000 miles of smiles, well outside the warranty coverage. The last thing I want to do is elect for a procedure on my vehicle for a little leak and potentially put myself in a $1,200 bind. I'm liking the $14 remedy at this point. The great thing about this, you don't even have to have the leak at this point. You could do it right now as a preventive countermeasure and never have to worry about the leak in the future. That's it. So today I'm going to explain the products you need to do this particular remedy, how to prep for it, how to install, and then we'll do a leak test and any troubleshooting. Hopefully not too much. So don't forget to check the description below for links to websites where I found the information for this, Amazon affiliate links for the products, and contact information should you need to get a hold of me. Let's get started. Everything you see here is at least but not limited to what is required to install the silicone tubing around the window. You might even have some products of your own that might make the installation go even easier. Now, per the instructions, it calls for distilled water. This is just to guarantee that there's no particles or debris and will guarantee a really good seal. You're going to mix that with isopropyl alcohol in a spray bottle. It doesn't say how much in a proportion. I went ahead and did equal parts. I have here just some paper towels, rags. I got some Q-tips just to get down into tight spaces. If we have some rough spots, I have a brush. I don't know how the installation is going to go, but it should be pretty good with this, but I have a trim tool to press it in if I need to, and obviously our silicone tubing. Now, if you have the option, it's not necessary. You can opt for an air compressor and a wand and spray out any debris in the gap. That's it. Now, for prep, you're going to want to take your products that we discussed earlier and your water bottle and spray down into the groove, and that'll get everything ready to go. You can optionally spray out any debris, biomatter, bugs, bird poop, anything that can gather in that top channel and around the sides, and get in there and just make sure you clean it free of debris. That way you can guarantee a proper seal whenever you're going back with your silicone tubing. I mean, just look at that, how dirty that is right there. Do that all the way around and you should be good. Don't worry about any inundation of water that you will get at this point. It's probably going to happen. Now that you have your gap free and clear of debris, it's time to install your silicone tubing. For this process, we're going to start here in the dead center and then just work the tubing in around the perimeter of the glass. It's totally up to you whether you want to trim just as you get to the bottom side of the glass, or if you want to continue all the way over here into the center, having them both butt up together like this, making it more of a factory aesthetic appeal. I haven't decided on how I'm going to do that yet, but I'm going to go ahead and account for that amount to go all the way over here. Now in the process, you want to make sure that you actually have it stuck in enough to where it's going to stay, but you don't want it in flush with the glass. You want to have a little bit of a bulge sticking out. And the reason why that is, it's more likely that the water will pass over the bulge and continue down the glass rather than valley up right here on the edge and potentially have more leaks. Now, as far as installing goes, you don't want to pull it and give it any tension. You want to pop it in just static as it is. You want it to be as supple as possible. That way there's no narrowing in the actual tubing and more potential for leaks. Now, as far as the process goes, we're going to go to the dead center here. I'm going to give a few more inches of trim, and then we're just going to work our way roughly around the perimeter until we get up to the top. Once we get up to the top, we're going to spray in our lubricating solution and just pop it into the gap right there. Now, in the process of this installation, you may actually get a little bit of leakage because you're putting in some liquid. That's okay. You can dry that up. Once everything's installed, just give yourself a period of time to make sure everything's dry before you start your leak test. Well, we got the tubing installed without any issues, and it looks great, seamless, darn near factory at that. The water and alcohol solution works great as a lubricant, pops it in there no problem, and the alcohol actually works as an evaporative, so pretty much after it's wet, it becomes dry, and you shouldn't have any issues. Now, I was able to make it go all the way down and around and meet up in the middle. It was a lot harder once I got down around that edge. I can see why a lot of people trim right there, but 40 degrees, I really don't have any fingertips left to do anymore, but was able to actually make it work. Now, I did have a little bit of inundation of water drip down on the interior. That was expected. Just make sure you dry that stuff up. We're going to let it sit for a couple hours before we do our leak test. But that's up. Looks great. Leak test time. It's been about 5 hours since we installed the tubing on the back glass, and in the process of that, spraying the solution, we did have some inundation on the glass. We wiped it up, made sure everything's dry, and it's continued to be dry. So now it's time for the next step. I have a water hose nozzle set to shower, and it's affixed to a Gorilla Pod and gear tie, and we're just going to let it go that way. I don't typically high pressure wash my back window. I just want to assume that gravity test is going to be just fine. So we're just going to set it for a period of time and monitor it. That should work. All right, we've been doing the leak test for about 45 minutes now. Let's step inside. As you can see, no inundation. I've moved the nozzle around a couple times to make sure that we're getting good coverage on the seal. We would have already been leaking. Absolutely no leaks. Dry as a bone. It works. Well, that seals the deal on this project. If you enjoyed today's video, found it informative or helpful in solving or preventing your rear window leak, go ahead, give us a big thumbs up. Let us know how we're doing. Share if you'd like, I'd appreciate that. For a heads up on any future installs or adventures, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, notification bell. You can follow us along our journey. Don't forget to check the description below for links to websites where I found all this information, as well as Amazon affiliate links for the products used today, and contact information should you need to get a hold of me. Remember, we at Gator Overland encourage each and every one of you to take a daily moment to unplug and reconnect with the outdoors, even if it's just for a few minutes. Have fun, keep it safe, and just go. Thanks, y'all.